What's going on, guys? Thank you for checking out Jimbo Time. Today's video we're gonna teach you guys on actually how to ride one of these two-wheel death contraptions, otherwise known as motorcycles. This is my first motorcycle I've owned. Been riding for about a year and a half now, so I'm definitely not a pro by any means, but I do feel like I have the general idea and gist of how you ride a motorcycle down. So I'm just gonna go over that briefly with you guys. For starters, depending on your bike, if you have a sport bike or other bikes, your ignition will be up here. For my bike, my ignition is down right there. I don't know if you can see it, so turn that on. You're gonna have all these lights and whatnot come on that you might not be sure of what are, so we'll go through here. This one right here, this is what changes like my tachometer, so I can see my miles, how long my trips are, time, gear ratio, and RPM. I normally leave it at this on this one. It's really helpful to know what gear I'm in, and then not only that, to be able to see what RPM the engine's at. We have our horn, most really obnoxious horn. We have brights, normal lights, your turn signal. Depending on your bike and whatnot, some you'll have to like turn them on and then cancel them yourself after. My bike actually has like built-in lean detection, so it will feel the bike leaning over and whatnot, and it'll cancel it for me. The right turn signal on this one. This is your kill switch. This is what primes the motorcycle. Don't know if you were able to hear that or not. We have our hazards right up here. And then this is the starter. You push this to start the bike. I'm in neutral right now, as you can see by the little green light up here. So when I actually go to start this, I don't have to pull in the clutch or anything like that. You'll see that my check engine light and my oil light's on right now. That's just because the bike is not on. Once the bike turns on, that'll go away, which you guys will see here momentarily. So now we're sitting here in neutral. The bike is on. We're on the bike. So now the go is, how do we get this thing to move forward? So we have your clutches right here on the left side of your handlebar, and then your front brake is over here on the right. It's very important that you learn which one's the clutch and which one's the front brake. You don't want to go and grab the front brake thinking it's the clutch, because it'll throw you off the bike. So when you go to put this thing in gear, you have the shifter down right here, and then on most motorcycles it'll always be 1 down and then 4 up if your bike's a 5-speed, and if your bike's a 6-speed transmission, it'll just be an additional 1 up. So when you go to put the bike in gear, you want to make sure that your kickstand is up, because if you leave it down and you go to take off, your bike may stall. But when you go to put it in gear, you're going to pull in the clutch and you're going to push that shifter down. Now with Harley Davidsons, it's really loud. You might not be able to hear it on the camera, but when you're sitting on the bike, you can actually hear the bike go in gear. It's a pretty loud, distinctive click or whatnot. So it's like letting you know that the levers shifted into the transmission and it's in. So right now we are in first gear. Now one of the most challenging things about riding a motorcycle can be actually learning how to use and how to control your clutch over here, because your clutch is your most important tool on a motorcycle. It's your best friend. It's one of the things you want to spend the most time with, getting familiar with. For every bike and type of bike, the clutch will be different, and what I mean by that is like its sweet spot, or the how tight the clutch is, how responsive the clutch is. If your clutch is really unresponsive, it might just be because of the bike, or you may just need to look into replacing the clutch for your bike. But real quick, I'm going to turn the bike back off so I don't have to talk over it while I'm talking to you guys. So like I said, the clutch right here, this is going to be your best friend. You're going to want to make sure you know how to use and control this as the best of your abilities. Now, what is a good little tip to think about is when you pull in your clutch, you want to think of 5 steps. There's 5 steps when you're using your clutch on your motorcycle. So right now, with it all the way out, this would be 5, and then with it all the way in, this would be 0. Now as you let this clutch out, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again 5 being all the way out, 0 being all the way in, the more you let the clutch out, the more power or RPM you're giving to your rear tire. So when you have the clutch all the way in, you're giving no power to your rear tire, and then when you let the clutch out, you're giving 100% power to your rear tire. So we're going to start this bike up again, demonstrate that a little bit for you guys. Now I am in gear, so when I go to restart this, I actually do have to pull in the clutch, otherwise it won't start. So you can see right now I have the clutch all the way in, and if I give it gas, you know, it's raising the RPMs, but we're not going anywhere because it's not taking any of that power and applying it to the rear tire. Now as I were to let that out and give it gas, you'll see that I'm moving. We'll go ahead and stop because we don't necessarily need to be moving, but I'm not sure if you guys saw that or not here, but right here, this is one of the most important tips I can give you to learning how to ride a motorcycle, or how to learning how to use a clutch, is when you let this thing out, you can actually have this thing, like, I don't know, let's say in step 3 or 4, be giving it gas and moving, and you can still have it and hold it at that position until you feel comfortable enough to slowly let it out. Whatever you do, you don't want to dump the clutch when you're giving it gas like this, because your bike's just going to stall like that. So you see how, like, I just dumped the clutch and the bike just lurched forward and it stalled and everything like that. You don't want to do that, because if you're not expecting it, you could well, 1, you'll stall, and then 2, like, you could pop a wheelie, and if you're not trying to pop a wheelie, it could be a bad situation. You could potentially get pretty hurt. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then if you do that and your bike does stall and you're sitting there like, oh my god, what do I do now? It's nice and simple. You don't got to freak out. You just pull back in the clutch and you hit the start button again and you start your bike back up. You will stall your bike. Everyone does it. I do it every now and then. It's just something that happens, and just something you learn how to get better and better with. So again, we're in first gear. We're going to demonstrate this a little bit. I'm going to slowly let the clutch out and give it gas, and you're going to see that the bike's actually going to start moving, and you'll see that I'll actually have the clutch like partially held in, partially held out, and I'll still be giving it gas and I'll be moving. I'll still be moving for a while. I might have to turn around. Actually, I'll probably turn around now, just because I don't got a lot of distance that way, and I don't want to be going through the grass on this bike. I'd rather just whip a U-turn real quick. So let me turn around real quick, and I'll show this to you guys. Alright, so this way you can see we got a lot more room now in the parking lot. So what we're going to do again is we're going to slowly let this clutch out, and as we let the clutch out, we're going to be giving it gas, and we're giving it gas, but we're still going to have the clutch partially held in and partially held out. That way you can see that you can still be in that friction zone or whatnot. That's what they call it in the MSF course, the motorcycle safety class. They call it the friction zone, where you learn how to work your clutch and stay in the friction zone while you're riding. So again, we're going to start to slowly take off, and you can see the clutch is still partially in. It isn't all the way out. I have it partially in, and I'm still giving it gas, and it's building RPMs, and I'm moving. It's just the more I have that clutch pulled in, the less power I'm giving to the rear wheel, and the more I let it out, the more power I'm giving to the rear wheel. Now, what's really good about that is if you ever get scared or you think you're going in too fast, you can pull on the clutch, and then you can apply brake pressure or swerve or whatever you got to do. Or even if you pull on the clutch, you see I'm revving it up, but I ain't going nowhere because I have that clutch pulled all the way in. So remembering that your clutch will kill all power to your rear wheel can be a lifesaver. It can be nice, little neat trick to help you out when you really need it. We're gonna turn back around and then stop again here. Something else that's really cool is that your clutch itself will actually pull your motorcycle. You don't need to give it necessarily a crap ton of throttle. As long as the RPMs are a little bit above idle. Idle on this bike's about 1,000. So if I rev it up just a little bit like that and I start letting the clutch out, even now, you see I'm moving. I'm not giving it any gas at all, but the clutch is pulling the bike. And knowing that right there, that is a huge tip. I mean, it's a pro tip right there, because I used to struggle with that myself personally so hard with learning how to ride a bike. Is I would start to feel myself moving like that, and I would just floor it and dump the clutch, and I'd stall or I'd pop wheelies and all sorts of craziness, and I could never figure it out. And it wasn't until I really took the time and actually like played with my clutch and whatnot that I learned about the importance of clutch control and actually how to use the clutch itself on my motorcycle. So now that we've kind of briefly went over that and we've gotten used to that, we'll work on shifting. Now shifting, you know, shifting's really easy. It's no big deal at all. So what you just do is, you know, your first step is you just let the clutch out, you start giving it gas, and then you just do what you simply were doing. You pull in the clutch, you go to your shifter knob, you go 1 up, let the clutch back out, give it gas. I mean, with being in a parking lot, I really don't need to be in any other gear but first. You notice if I stay in second for too long, I'll start chugging my motor because it's just too low on RPMs. So we're letting the clutch back out, so we're moving. You're gonna pull in the clutch, shift up, slowly let the clutch out and give it gas. And as you get more experience and you're riding longer, you'll learn you can do it faster and faster. Like I can do it pretty quick. But it's always just good when you're first learning out just to really take your time. You know, these are your basic fundamental skills. These are like your stepping stones, your foundation, and then everything else after that is like, you know, it's built off of these initial skills. So I personally believe it's really important to spend the time to learn and to master your basics. I just thought I'd film this quick little video for you guys, just going over the basics, fundamentals of how to ride a motorcycle and whatnot. If you guys have enjoyed this video, you know, drop a like button, comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the channel. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, I have no problems making more of them, and I can actually like work on doing certain situations, whether it's like situational awareness while riding or just basic or different riding maneuvers to practice. Hopefully you guys enjoyed everything today. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. This has been Jimbo Time. Peace.